Next, we're going to talk about entering hours as you accrue them. This you're going to do on your dashboard page. This is where you're going to get dropped once you log into your account. You can also access your dashboard from anywhere on the website by clicking on Ripley in the upper left-hand corner. So when entering in your hours and you're on the dashboard here, some of my information has auto-populated because I just entered in those bulk hours. It's automatically going to prompt me to add a new month. So down here, I auto-filled September 2021 and ABA therapy as my setting. Again, question marks are placed around your dashboard so you can hover and find out more information in regards to what information should be going into that field. Under supervisor, this auto-populated BF Skinner for me looks like a couple times. If you are accruing fieldwork hours with multiple supervisors, you can add new supervisor for each activity you're entering in. If it's activities that fall under the same supervisor, your auto selection will be put in place, or if it's your responsible supervisor for some indirect or unrestricted hours in there, you can also do that. So I've got my month setting information. I'm going to select supervised fieldwork. If you're receiving concentrated, you're going to want to select concentrated supervised fieldwork. This is then going to add a multiplier that we'll talk about a little bit later. Next, I'm going to do my hour entry. So I'm going to enter in hours for each activity that I'm doing. So let's say I'm running a direct session and getting some restricted hours. I'm going to enter that in versus entering in and graphing data and conducting a data review versus programming versus a parent training. I'm going to break all of those down. So then my description down here at the bottom is then going to relate specifically to those hours. It's going to be really helpful if you're ever audited to be able to have that justification for those hours there. So for this example, let's go ahead and say that this morning I ran a 2-hour session from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. It was a direct session. Here I've got independent hours when the BCBA was not present. So let's say the first hour I was solo for my restricted hours. Let's say the second hour my BCBA came, I'm going to put 1 hour there for the second hour of my session. Over here, you can see your hours for allotment. Now have that blue check mark. The reason that Ripley breaks down your hours into all of these categories is because that's what's outlined by the board. I know the Excel tracker looked a little bit different. This is still all information that they may look at. Restricted and unrestricted hours can happen with or without a supervisor present. So this just clarifies everything. Next, for contact type, we have non-observational contact or an observational contact with a client. Because I said this was a restricted direct session, this is an observation with a client. Had it been a meeting and there wasn't a client involved, then I would select non-observational contact. Last, down here, we have our description of the activity. This you can enter in location. So if it's in the home, if it's in the clinic, if it's in a school setting, you can add who was involved, feedback that was passed on, etc. So in this example, we'll just say conducted direct session with client, implemented XYZ procedures. Supervisor provided A, B, C feedback. Again, as much or as little as you and your supervisor determine you need in this space. Next, I'm going to click log hours. You can see it thinking, ta-da, now those hours have been added. And it's just going to refresh. So then I could immediately come in here and say, okay, starting at 10:30 then for the next 30 minutes, I did a half hour of unrestricted work by myself without a supervisor. And we can say entered in, or let's say, how about graphed data for XYZ, conducted data review, et cetera, go ahead, click log hours. It's going to refresh this page again. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that this changed from July 2021 to September of 2021. And it's now starting to look at all of that criteria as far as the 20 to 130 hours per month, minimum 5% supervision, maximum of that being 50% group. Also looking at my contacts and observations with clients here.